Welcome to the DJ Force X podcast, episode 7. As you may have noticed, I took a couple of weeks off, mainly due to a cold. I had no voice, so I was very croaky and coughing and spluttering. And rather than subject you to that, I thought I'd just rest it and come back strong. And also, I had a friend pass away last week in the UK. His name was Alan Chapman. A lot of my friends will know him. He was an alternative DJ like myself. We worked together for 12 plus years at the same club. We knew each other for longer as well. And he was a staple in the local scene in and around the Surrey, Hampshire and London area. And it's very, very, very tragic loss to us all. And I'm going to miss him so much. Yeah, so rest in peace, Alan, and we'll see you on the other side, buddy. On to what we missed over the past couple of weeks. We had the Star Wars trailer hit, 88 seconds of just goosebump awesomeness, I thought. Also on the gaming front, we had Zelda, the gameplay for that come through, the Nintendo presentation of that, and quite frankly, that's just made me want to throw money at a Wii U. I was kind of staggering my purchases of the current gen game systems this time around because I had all the last 3 as well, and I've never not owned a Nintendo system or a current Nintendo system, so I'll definitely be getting one regardless. But Zelda has just made me want to get one even more, along with Super Smash Brothers and what I've played of Mario Kart as well. Looks awesome. But in the meantime, if any of you are on the Xbox One, I'm currently playing my way through Destiny. If anyone wants to join me for some raids or anything, just look up DJ Force X, find me there, add me, drop me a message, let me know when you're about. If it's in the US, I'm on Eastern time. If it's in the UK, I'm 5 hours behind you. Anywhere else in the world, you can work it out. So yeah, I'm that, and I'm playing Titanfall. So Titanfall, that's good for a laugh. If you want a quick run around, shoot 'em up. Great. So yeah, on to this week's show, interview even. This was recorded live at State Theatre in St. Petersburg, Florida, in the Fozzy tour bus with Rich Ward, the guitarist, also of Stuck Mojo and Adrenaline Mob, but we'll go into that in the interview. So yeah, sit back and enjoy. Welcome to this week's show. I've got a very special guest. It's Fozzy guitarist, songwriter and producer, Rich Ward, also known as The Duke. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. Special indeed. Yes, thank you.
So how are you?
Man, I've been doing great. You know, this is the last show of this tour, a month in the States, and we're happy to be in Florida right now because we were up north for the first 2 weeks, and it was 14 days of snow and ice and barely cracking single digits temperatures. It was freezing. So it's even though it's still a little chilly, it's nice to be in somewhat warm weather.
Yes, and probably safer roads slightly as well.
Absolutely. And that's the one thing is, like, a lot of times people are like, well, what difference does it make to you? You're on a tour bus, you're in clubs. Well, the difference it makes is, as a guitar player, when it's cold, your hands don't work good. And when it's warm, your hands work awesome, you know, and it's a big deal. And yeah, will I warm up on stage? Yeah, but it means that even in the venues sometimes, because the backstage areas are pretty chilly because they're attached to the big, open bay doors for loading in and loading out. And I want to put on the best show that I can possibly put on. You know, people pay a lot of money to come to shows, and so it bums me out if I'm cold for the first couple of numbers. You know, I want to be on fire in song number 1.
Yeah, no, definitely. So this is the final night of the US Cinderblock Party Tour.
Yes.
How has it been for you? Have there been any standout nights, any particular venues that were just off the chain or anything like that?
You know, we had a great show in Minneapolis. That was probably like the best crowd response of that leg of the tour. And then once we got down here to Florida, God, they've just all been so good. Fort Lauderdale was great. Orlando was great last night. And we've had some great shows. And tonight's going to be packed. I think we're going to have another great show. So
excellent.
Yeah, I think we're going to finish this this run off good.
I look forward to it.
All right,
on. Yeah, I last saw you guys play. It was last year, I think, down at Club Detroit, which is just down the other side of St. Pete. That was quite an intimate show to see you in there because I'd missed you guys in the UK when I lived there. You even toured with one of my friend's bands, and I even missed that show.
Yeah, we used to tour the UK like 3 times a year. I mean, we were always over there, and it was just because the music business is 2 parts, music and the business. Yeah. And our business apparatus in the UK was great. We had such good fundamentals, and the people who were involved were doing such a good job with us and handling the band that we just found ourselves there more often than we were in other parts of the world. But it wasn't because we were selecting, like, it's not as if the bands like open up a map and say, we want to play here or here or here. Yeah. It's all done through smarter people than us. People in the record companies and people management and booking agents, and they plot a course based on where the organization is strong, where the reactions are strong, where the press is strong. And so for us, we spent a lot of time in the UK, and it's been really good to us.
Excellent. Yeah, no, like I said, you toured with one of my friend's bands. They were like the opening band on the tour. But I even missed that show because you played locally. I can't remember what happened. I was working or something. But I missed you there.
Biblical flood.
Yes, exactly. But then I saw you guys were playing down here, and I'd only been here for a short time, so I thought, check out the local venues at the same time.
Nice.
And it was a really good show. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
It was
awesome. Thank you.
It was cool. So I'm going to talk about your latest album, Fozzy album. Do You Want to Start a War? It's an excellent album.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really enjoy it. It was it's quite different from your previous ones as well.
Right.
I think this one kind of jumped on me a bit more. It's got kind of if you don't mind me saying, like a party rock feel to it. Like the riffs are really bouncy, and it's very, very party kind of and it's really catchy as well.
Thanks. Well, and that's kind of my thing, is big grooves and party atmosphere. I mean, I really like the late 70s vibe. There's something about the late 70s, like Queen and AC/DC, and everything was rocking, but it was a bit cheeky and fun, and it had it didn't take itself too seriously. Like Bon Scott was like the most amazing frontman because he was so aggressive. You thought he could smash you over the face with a beer bottle at any moment. But at the same time, he was so fun, and he was like the master of the party. And I've always liked guys like that. A lot like Andrew WK is another guy I really like.
Yeah.
I like his attitude. And my band that I've been in for my entire life since I was a teenager was Stuck Mojo, and that was a bounce metal band. So that's our sound. The Fozzy sound is basically rooted in Frank, our drummer, and myself from Stuck Mojo. Mm-hmm. Our rhythm section, it's the same rhythm section from Stuck Mojo.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Stuck Mojo in Fozzy because you can't help it. Yes. We're the guys who wrote for both bands, so it's going to be that way. But Chris's energy is completely different than Bones, the vocalist in Stuck Mojo, and he's the guy who really, because Bones was such an aggressive, angry frontman, and Chris is such a fun, free-loving rock and roll party guy, that kind of party element really breathes, and it really shows itself in Fozzy.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, between the albums, listening to them before I came over, but with the previous albums, it was very much more kind of that metal side of things. And then with this one, it was that kind of evolution into that party vibe, the big bouncing riffs. They were kind of already there, but with Chris's attitude and I think he changed his vocal style slightly as well, didn't he?
And that's part of it too, part of it was as the producer of the band, I told Chris, and I talked to my manager first because I wanted to get some professional feedback, but I kind of felt like that I was writing riffs and stuff that wasn't necessarily a perfect fit for Chris in some of the earlier records. And that's the thing, is Chris is two sides. He loves Dream Theater and Iron Maiden and Halloween. Yeah. So he likes dark mythological metal and
big storyteller.
That's
type
right.
stuff,
And then the other part of him is he's David Lee Roth and Paul Stanley. But to me, he is David Lee Roth and Paul Stanley. He's not mythological metal.
Yeah.
To me, he enjoys that, and he likes it. Like, that's a part of something that he really enjoys. But I, in this album, wanted to steer more away from that because I felt like he was a much more effective frontman and a much more effective singer when we really captured the essence of who he was.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, because let's face it, we're performers, okay? That's what we do. We take bits and pieces of our personality and we pump them up and we create music, or if we're an actor, actress, whatever, we try to bring bits and pieces of ourselves into these characters.
Yeah.
But in rock and roll, you don't want to be playing a character. You want this to be who you are.
Yeah.
You know, and you can, like Ozzy Osbourne and Alice Cooper, you can find bits and pieces of your subconscious and develop that. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's your primary personality traits. There can be bits and pieces that you can go to be the madman on stage and then be more understated and a shy guy off stage. But I felt like this new record needed to be more of a larger-than-life rock star, rooted in Paul Stanley and David Lee Roth for Chris on this.
Yeah.
And moments of Rob Zombie and that kind of thing. Those guys who are much more characters and personalities than trying to do some kind of, like I said, some kind of progressive rock direction. And I feel like the new record, at least from my perspective, is a better record because not because of any other reason other than I feel like I was able to connect with Chris in an honest and genuine way better on this record.
Yeah.
It suited who he was better than the other records. Not to take away from any of his other performances because they're all great on the other records. But I felt like this was a better fit for him.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way. Because obviously his persona in his other job,
that's right,
his wrestling, he's a big character. He's large in life. He's loudmouth. He's the entertainer.
That's right,
and that really reflects on this record.
Right.
I heard the first time I heard Lights Go Out, I was a bit like, oh, and then I really got into it, and it became because it has that electro rock element to it as well, which I hadn't obviously associated with you guys before. But the nature of my rock show, it plays on to electro metal. So it's been a regular on my show since I got it.
Nice, cool. Thank you.
But other tracks I dig on the album is like, was it Bad Tattoo is another one I like that.
Nice, cool. Thank you.
Brides of Fire and Unstoppable.
Yeah, cool.
All great tracks that are on rotation constantly on
right
home
on.
and stuff.
Thank you.
So, but I mean, like I said, this album it's really stuck with me. Not like I say, not to take away from your other albums, but it was it really did feel very comfortable for everyone in there.
Yeah,
like listening to it and. Yeah, like you said, you wanted to play to that. You knew your strengths. You played with Chris's, and you got that element down.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about us is that we've been such a part-time band for so long because Chris has had a full-time job as a sports entertainer and Dancing with the Stars and book author, and he's had so many other careers, and we have too. You know, we've had other bands, so there's been other things that have gone on, and so over the years, we have been a part-time band, so whereas when you're 19 years old and you find 4 guys or 3 guys and you get in a van and you tour 12 months out of the year, you develop quickly because your chemistry is growing and you're learning. But we didn't do that. We were a part-time band for years, so our chemistry we're in this kind of phase now where we're just now really starting to hit our stride.
Yeah.
Because we're unlike most bands in that we didn't go through that process of getting in the station wagon and playing every crap hole on the planet.
Yeah.
We went straight from let's play a show after Raw, you know, in Tampa when they're in Tampa, and then we'll fly to Seattle and play after Raw. That's the way we started, just playing after Raw shows and nightclubs, and we did that for years.
Yeah, no, but you've had that individually. You've kind of had that in your different way. Obviously, you have started that way with other bands.
Yeah,
getting in that van, heading off, and with Chris, with his wrestling background, they have the same thing where they get in the car and they travel to various places every night of the week.
That's right. They're on the road constantly.
So you had that ingrained in both of you.
That's right.
And fusing that together, which, like you say, now you've kind of evolved together as songwriters and producing this album and be playing to each other's strengths.
That's right.
It's gelling now.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really good to see that.
Because it's about chemistry, right?
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
a band is.
Exactly.
It's like a football team. It's like it's never just about the goalie or the center forward or whatever. It is the chemistry of the team.
Yeah.
And that is really when they get on the field, it's how they work together. It has never been in the history of music. You can never build a great band on one guy. It has to be about chemistry.
Yeah, because you've seen that when someone does have that, like it is the one guy, and then that one guy goes off and does something else, and it doesn't work as well. And
That's
you realize
right.
it's the whole band.
That's exactly right.
You know, and you can always look at Queen and think, oh, Freddie Mercury, but he's got Brian May and things like that, and it without that element behind him,
that's exactly right.
They wouldn't be who they were.
Well, you can look at Led Zeppelin. You can look at Jimmy Page went off and did a band with Paul Rodgers, another one of the greatest rock singers on the planet in that band, The Firm, and it didn't really do anything. And then Jimmy Page did a thing with David Coverdale, and it didn't really do anything. And it just goes to show you that Page and Plant, it's like those guys together. It's like chemistry with John Bonham and John Paul Jones. It was like that band. Outside of that band, those guys have really not done... You know, I'm saying I'm not diminishing their solo careers, but certainly separate. They haven't been able to achieve the greatness that they did as a group.
They won't be remembered for that side of
Correct.
things. It'll be always be Zeppelin.
Yep.
You know,
same thing with David Gilmour. He's my favorite guitar player on the planet, but on his own, it's just not as powerful as it was with the Floyd.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I've got plenty of Floyd stuff and plenty of his solo stuff, and it just doesn't have that magic, that collective magic that they had.
And I love David Gilmour's melodic approach, and I love his solo records, but it was the darkness and the sadness from Roger Waters. You can just tell that tortured artist soul on those records blended with Gilmour's brilliant musicianship. It was like, that's the chemistry, you know?
It's there, but it's not. It's that half missing.
Yeah,
you
it's all the beautiful musicianship and beautiful melodies and beautiful songs, but there's a darkness and a haunting quality it's a little bit missing.
Yeah.
But luckily we have both. We can always go listen to the old records.
That's true. That's very true. Back to the album. What was the plan for the album initially? Just in general, has it performed as well in the comparison to that plan, or has it exceeded?
I don't even know, because when people start projecting sales figures, well, what do you think we're going to sell? I don't ever care. Like my idea of success is go in, write a great record, record it, and it comes out on the last day of mixes, and I sit back and I think, wow, 3 months ago this didn't exist.
Yeah.
And now we made this record. And I'm so proud of it. I'm so proud of my band and so proud of what we've done. If anyone buys it, great. But if no one buys it, I still did what I wanted to do, which is make something that I feel like is a great record. And I feel like there's so many people that can set themselves up for failure by having some expectations that somehow they're going to sell a certain amount of copies.
Yeah.
This record sold twice as many copies as Sin and Bones in a time when the industry is retracting.
Yes.
So the fact that we're actually selling substantially more than we did of the last record when the industry is shrinking and bands are selling less albums says that it's a success.
Yeah.
The label's happy with it. We're happy with it. But ultimately, you know, if your happiness is dictated based on the amount of numbers that you sell, if the next record doesn't sell a lot, then you'll be miserable.
Yes.
So I you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I try to set my expectations based on us, what we do, having great shows, making what we consider to be great records. Because let's face it, you and I and Jericho can go see a movie, and we probably have 3 separate opinions on whether we liked it or not. You know, we may all 3 like it, but some may like it less than others. We all have a palate, right? We like certain movies, we like certain music, we like certain fashion, and that's just a personal taste. So if someone doesn't like my record, I don't get offended because there's a lot of people that I'm friends with that I don't like their records. And I like them, and they're great musicians, but they don't play music that I like. So what? Yeah, they got a lot of fans, and he doesn't need me to like his band. We can still be friends.
That's
you know?
very true. Yeah, no, that's very true. Cool. You mentioned you produced this album as well, but you produced all of them, haven't you?
Since 2005.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the reason behind it? Was it because you were a part-time band? The fact that you had your own studio so you could record parts, and then when Chris became available between, his performances with the WWE and things, was it because of that? Or was it just you didn't want another producer because you had your own vision of what you wanted to do?
Yeah, it's probably a combination of a lot of elements, but I worked with some of the greatest producers on the planet, namely Andy Sneap, who I've learned almost everything that I know through Andy.
Yeah.
And he produced my Stuck Mojo records, and I learned a lot about sound and listening to things and just the technical side of things. I feel like I've got a really good ear and I've got great intuition. And then the other part of it is that when we were recording the All That Remains record, our producer who was doing that record, Rick Beato, who is also an excellent producer, his father passed away. And so he had to leave the project. So it kind of got laid in my lap. So I didn't really know what I was doing. I was really trying to kind of learn, but it was no other way around it.
Yeah.
We had to keep moving forward. And so I set a small computer setup, just like you have here, in my rehearsal space, and I finished the album, recording vocals and guitars, and it was a great learning experience. It's you want to make a garden? Well, you build, then you plant a garden.
Yeah.
And you're going to make mistakes, and some things are going to be super successful, and you're going to fail at certain things. And that's what I did on that album. I learned a lot. I made a lot of mistakes on that record, but then ever since then, I've produced every record I've done.
Yeah.
Because I stopped being scared of it. I realized I can do this.
Yeah.
I have the ability to. I trust myself. I know my band guys. I know how to get that's 90% of being a producer is being able to get the best performances and knowing how to be a therapist, to knowing how to say to Chris, who has arms bigger than my legs, how do you say that was terrible? Do it again. Yeah. How do you do that? Well, you do that because you respect someone and you know that they're very talented and you know how to get your coach.
Yeah.
You're basically saying, hey, here's why that wasn't good. Look at your head position. Also, more diction. I need to have more clarity of. I need to hear the words.
Yeah.
Read the lyric. Connect with the lyric. Let's just talk. Let's make a great record. And how do you do that? You push each other.
Yeah.
And that's basically most of what I do as a producer is working with my band guys. I know them. They're my best friends. Yeah. I know where their strengths are and where their weaknesses. I steer them away from their weaknesses, and I say, Frank, you're the baddest groove drummer in the world. Do that. This over here, you're third or fourth in the world good at that. Yeah. So maybe only do that once.
Yeah.
And it's just working with your guys.
Yeah, it's great to have that understanding, though, that you can actually approach them that way. Because I know a lot of bands, and I've been in the studio with a few of them, and being able to tell them something is very difficult.
It's hard.
And when you do tell them, and if they take it really badly, again, you're just like...
You could ruin an entire day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does. It gives that bad atmosphere in the studio, and you kind of don't. That day's gone.
Yep.
You can't use anything you've had that day.
And Chris is a big personality, and he's a very successful person. And when someone has a lot of success, it's difficult to say to somebody that wasn't good.
Yeah.
You could do that better. But it's all in how you say it.
Yeah.
It's not to say that you're not talented or you're a bum, you suck. It is. I play more wrong notes than I play right notes when I'm writing and in the studio. Mm. It's a matter of capturing lightning in a bottle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Capturing the great notes.
Yeah.
And what was I doing at that moment and trying to figure that out. And it's trial and error. And that's the idea of rehearsing for 6 months and recording a live record in the studio is appealing to me, but that's not how we make records. We make studio albums. Like, we're constantly rewriting and we're working and we're experimenting. Try this and try that. So every day is not just about recording, but it's also about exploring different ways of doing it.
Yeah. Cool. So get on to another subject. You've got a European tour coming up next year. What can the UK and European fans expect from this tour?
It's going to be the best that they've ever seen us, for sure. And a lot of that comes down to everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
Growing as a band. Chemistry is just really good right now. We've been touring a lot. And we're playing well together. We're getting along great as a band. And the set list is great. We've got all these new songs that they haven't heard yet from the new album. And we're playing like 6 songs from the new album. I mean,
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, but we're playing a longer set, so we're getting songs from every record, and it's cool. So the set is a little heavy towards the newer material, the last 2 or 3 albums.
Yeah.
But still, for those fans who bought the first couple of records 15 years ago, there's still going to be a couple songs from there.
Excellent. I know. I was going to say, I got. I remember picking up Happenstance. And I've still got it. But I really loved your cover of Eat the Rich.
Oh, we play it every night. We never don't. We it's always in the set.
Yes, no, I remember you played it last year. I was like, brilliant. I love it. It was because I used to play that in the clubs. Like, it was a DJ in a club back in the UK, like rock clubs. And that was one of the Fozzy tracks I used to play.
Nice.
That, and I think the latest one was the one with M Shadows. Sandpaper.
Sandpaper, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. That was another one. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed that first album. So
thanks, man.
It's good to know you're still playing stuff off of it.
Of course.
So.
And we're playing To Kill a Stranger off of Happenstance. So we're making sure to those people who've been with us for many years,
cool.
We're sticking by it.
Excellent. Are there any venues you're looking forward to playing over there? Cool.
You know, I mean, the truth is that for me, there are some classic gigs, obviously. But I don't want to name any of them because I don't want people in those other areas that I don't name to go, oh, man, how come he said he's looking forward to the London gig or he's looking forward to Manchester? But for me, the only thing that I'm a little upset about is we're not doing any shows in Wales for some reason, because for me it's great to be able to do Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England, so that, you know, when you're there, you try to reach out to all those fans, because you hate to put people in a position where they have to take a 4-hour train ride or something. You know, it's nice to be able to try to get as close as you can to folks. Yeah. And we don't have any shows in Yorkshire, which is a bummer, because, you know, for those people in the north, it's you know, it's nice to give them a show. But we are going to be in Manchester, so it's kind of close enough.
Yeah.
But you know, but again, that's not up to us.
No,
we get the schedule and they tell us where we're going to be, and it's all up to the show buyers.
Yeah,
because you have promoters in the areas, and you know, we've got some great promoters like Duncan up in Scotland who we always know we'll be with him, and then sometimes you'll see new faces, you know, that who like is a new promoter that wants to take the band on. Yeah, so it's and I've seen the schedule, but it's again, for me, it's every morning I wake up and it's a new day, and just excited to be on the road.
Excellent. No, that sounds really good. I'm going to be bummed to miss it because obviously I live here now. So. But I'll see you guys tonight. So that's just as good. So
it'll be great.
So yeah, what influences you on your work, the band, or as an individual? Who influences you?
I mean, it used to be like guitar heroes of mine, like, you know, Billy Gibbons and Angus Young and David Gilmour and, you know, Eddie Van Halen and Zakk Wylde, but now it's more looking at bands who did something different and took risks. You know, I love Devin Townsend. He's my go-to resident mad scientist that I love.
Yes,
because he's fearless, and I think he's ultra talented, and he can do anything he wants. And he does it with ease and brilliance.
He does anything he wants.
That's
He's
right.
One of those people. It's like Mike Patton.
Yeah.
He'll do anything he wants.
Yes,
regardless of what people thinks he should do.
I agree.
You know,
and I love that, and I love that quality about him. So he's one of those kind of go-to guys for me. You know, and truthfully, I want to make records that, well, like I said, that fight against the cookie cutter nature of American active rock radio. There's so many bands here that just kind of have the same sound, and the same could be said for kind of the melodic death metal sound coming out of Scandinavia. There's a lot of sameness,
Yes.
you know, and I love In Flames, and I love, you know, Shine Down. There are some great active rock radios and Swedish, you know, kind of melodic death metal bands too. But for me, like, I would want to be like In Flames or At the Gates, where I'm the first one.
Yeah.
The one that put the flag on the moon.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to stand in line behind 20 other bands doing the same style. I'm not interested in being in a genre.
Yeah.
I'm interested in being a genre.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm always striving for. That's why I love being in Stuck Mojo. We were one of the first rap rock bands, and we did it very differently from other bands.
Yep.
And I was proud of that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to strive for, is to find my little, even if it's just a small little patch of grass, I want to say, claim this in the name of Fozzy, you know?
Yeah.
Or for myself, you know, as a writer. Because when it comes down to it, these albums are Fozzy albums, but they're my kids.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, when I'm sitting in my house for 2 or 3 months writing a record in a dark room with a drum machine and a guitar in my lap and a microphone, like, everything in my life is wrapped up in these songs.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes the rest of the guys in the band, their influences and their playing style that makes it a Fozzy song, but still at its core, it's a Rich Ward baby, you know?
Is there anyone you'd like to work with in the future?
I'd love to work with Devin again. I worked with him in '96 on a Stuck Mojo record.
Oh, okay.
But I'd love to, now that we're almost 20 years ago to that, I'd love to work with him again. Russell Allen, who is the singer for Symphony X, who I played with in the Adrenaline Mob for a short period of time.
Yep.
He's one of my favorite singers. I'd love to work with him.
Excellent.
There's a lot of super talented people out there. I mean, I'd love to songwrite with Ice-T. You know what I mean? Like, there's just dudes who are like cool guys who I listen to their records and I go, their record's good, but like, egotistically, I think we could make a badass record together. You know what I mean? It's like, whether I'm right or not, who knows? But there's some artists that I just think, like, I think we could do something super special together because I think our chemistry would work.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean I'm great. It just means that, like, I think they're amazing, and I think that together our chemistry would be exponentially better than us by ourselves.
Yeah. No, that sounds good.
Yeah, you know what I
try
mean?
and hook that one up.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. When you find someone you think, I could work really well with them, because I come from a music background as well. I was in a band in the UK, and there were some artists that I was like, really work with them and do this with, and you felt it would work.
Yeah,
you know, but I just didn't get the opportunity because it was.
Well, it's hard. How do you get a successful person who's already has a career of their own, who's working hard, doing their own thing? I mean, like, would I love to work with Peter Gabriel? Of course, but I don't think I'd be good working with him. I'm such a different type of musician that I don't think that would work. You know what I mean? Like, there are guys that I'd love to be in a room with, just to be in a room with Elton John and go, dude, fist bump, Saturday night's all right for fighting. Amen. You know what I mean? Like, you wrote Leave On, I love you. Yeah. But ultimately, I couldn't make a record with Elton John that I think anyone would care about because I'm a hard rock guy. Yeah. I'm a metal guy. Yeah. You know?
What do you do between your musical projects? Because you've had quite a few. What do you do in your downtime, like when you're not writing music? I'm
a workout guy. I really love exercise. It's like, I think it's because I'm an addict at heart. Even though I've never done drugs or been a drinker, I could see myself easily being a heroin addict. It's just because I find myself clinging on to obsessive compulsive things. Yeah. You know, so I find myself like, I'll just do things in excess always. So I exercise in excess. I play music, you know what I mean? Like, I almost to a point. Like, right now I'm doing this, I'm a vegetarian, and like, I used to be this hardcore carnivore, but now now I'm doing this strict vegetarian diet, which I love. I'm juicing lots of meals. So like, I try to find outlets that are healthy as opposed to a bottle of booze. Yeah. You know what I mean? And because I have that personality about me that does things to excess. So, and I'm in love with my wife. I've got a good lady. So I spend a lot of time with her. We're kind of BFFs. We don't have kids. and we have dogs, and so I will work during the day on songs and exercise. And when she comes home, I try to, when I'm not on tour, I try to have a normal 6 to 11 life where you eat dinner together and try to act like a normal couple, whatever that is, you know.
Housework done. And all that kind of stuff.
I try to be a husband, you know, because I'm gone so much on tour, or when I'm writing and recording, I'm gone.
Yeah.
So when I am at home, I want to be a husband to my wife if I can. So I know those are simple things, but sometimes, like, my life is so exciting out here. I'm in a different town every day, and I can go to cathedrals, and I can go to theaters, and I can just do so much, you know? I mean, it's overload. It's like I live a life that most people only dream of, because in a year I'll be in Australia, and I'll be in Europe, and I'll be in, you know, Moscow, and I just do I get to see so much and do so much. When I get home, the idea of going to the zoo is not super exciting, because my life is a zoo. So I want to be a bit normal. There's part of me that wants to live like one of those TV shows from the 50s.
Yeah. You want to ground yourself slightly, because like I say, you know, life on the road, you're waking up in different towns, cities, so much to do. And you get home, you're like, oh.
Yeah, plus, you know, there's a lot of people on this bus.
Yeah.
And the people that I love. But the littlest thing, after you've been together for months on end, it starts to pick at you. It's like if I was to sit here and lightly scratch my knee.
Yeah.
For 5 minutes, it wouldn't be a big deal. And if I did it for 5 hours, I'd have a huge hole in my knee where I would just rub. And that's what happens when you're in this little metal tube for months on end, is that. So it's important to try to detox and get away from chaos.
Yeah.
Because this is chaos for me. I mean, people yelling at 4 o'clock in the morning and drinking and having a good time and stuff. And to me, like, I just want it to be quiet. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so for me, when I'm at home, like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I get to, like, what is that? Oh, nothing. It's quiet. It's amazing.
Yeah, you get those first few days when you're back off tour, and you have that noise in your ears.
Yeah.
That's not going away when it's just quiet.
That's
and eventually that fades, and you're just like, better.
And if it does get loud, it's because I just cranked up, you know, vintage Metallica or something.
Yeah.
You know, because I want it to be loud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
the little control freak in me wants to be in control of everything, and it's just not possible.
Cool. Have you got any tips you would give a band embarking on their first tour? What one piece of advice would you give them? They're just about to jump in the van.
Well, the main thing is that know that nobody owes you anything, and that there are 50 bands in every town that have more talented musicians than you. The only thing matters is, are you willing to work harder than them?
Yeah.
And I would tell them that if you want to be successful in this music business, that you better be willing to work harder than everybody else, because there's only a few slots for people who actually make decent money.
Yeah.
So if your goal is to just have a few drinks and have some laughs, then it doesn't matter. But if your goal is to have a run at it because you want to have a career in the music business, you want to make records, and you want to build a fan base, then I would say be willing to work tirelessly and endlessly, and don't hit on your female fans. Don't have sex with all of your female fans, and be nice. Be a good person.
Yeah.
Because if you think that you're Axl Rose when you're playing in front of 20 people in a club, everyone's just going to think you're an idiot. Just be humble. Be nice. Be a rock star while you're on stage, and when you get off, you shake everybody's hands and you tell everybody thanks. You look every dude in the eye and you tell him you appreciate the 10 quid that he dropped on the gig and that you appreciate it. And that attitude will get them to go buy one of your shirts.
Yep.
People want to support nice people. Ultimately, you got to be a good band. So rehearse your ass off, do something, work hard. But then after that part's done, be a good person. Because if you trash a dressing room, that club won't have you back. It's the common sense stuff that no one told me. Don't be an asshole.
Yep.
Because people will remember that you were an asshole.
Yep, that's very true. Yep, I've met a few of those in my time.
That's exactly right. And you don't want to be around them again.
No, exactly. You don't want to be associated with them, despite how well they might be doing. You just don't. It's that bad taste in your mouth.
It's be amazing how many conversations I have with other bands about guys that we know in other bands that are assholes. Everybody knows those guys.
Yeah.
And it's a little tiny community.
Yeah.
Listen, there's how many bands are out here really working, American bands that are out here making records and touring? 40, 50? We all know each other. We've crossed paths. We play radio festivals together.
Yeah.
We know each other. So trust me, once you start laying down that groundwork of this guy's hard to deal with, people, unless you're a super big band and you're good for money, people are going to start turning their backs on you. So I'd encourage people to go in this thing, work hard. Don't believe all the hype that bands do nothing but drink and shag chicks, because the truth is that that only happens if you're the greatest band in the world and you have the best songs in the world. The rest of us are humping gear in the back of our trailer and going to the next show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Cool. Well, to finish off, I got a couple of questions from my listeners. I got one from Raj. He's based in Florida. He's asking, how was it for you and Stock Mojo to film the music video for Rising in the ring with the WCW stars like DDP, Raven, and The Flock? Are there any cool, fun stories, experiences from that day of filming that you can remember?
Just that it was the coolest experience in the world, setting up inside a ring and then having the fans surrounding the ring, diving in the ring, and stage diving off the top ropes. And you had guys like Billy Kidman, who's an amazing wrestler, doing a shooting star press off the top rope into the audience.
Yeah.
And, so from that perspective, it was... And I'm a wrestling fan, so for me, it was great.
Excellent.
The other part of it was that a couple of fans, when they came in there, the understanding was we had wrestlers that were in the ring, and the idea was you'd come in the ring and they would throw you out. Well, a couple of them were like resisting and fighting back a little bit, and it didn't end well for them. Yeah,
no, I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
When Van Hammer, who's 6'6" and weighs 285, and you, trust me, it's not going to end well for you.
Cool. Got another one from Ewan in the UK. He was asking about the band Walking with Kings.
Yep.
He was asking, what was that band about, and are you religious?
Yeah, I am. I am a religious person. That album came about. I met a guy named Terry Chisholm, and he had this amazing voice, and he was a great pianist. And he wanted me to produce his band that he had that didn't have a name at the time.
Yeah.
He had a group of guys. I went to their practice, and I was like, you are a superstar. You have an amazing voice. Your band is okay. What would you think about me playing guitar on your record and me bringing my drummer, Frank, from Stuck Mojo and Fozzy to play on your record? And let's make the most amazing album. It's like, I wouldn't call it a Christian rock record. It's like a spiritual rock record.
Yeah.
It has a lot in it feels like an early U2 record where where that there is a religious component to it, but it's not overt, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, and I love Terry. He's such a talented guy, and what we decided to do was just give it a name. And I said, I want to be your guitar player, and let's be a band.
Yeah.
But it's like the idea of like starting another band was awesome until I realized that I was so busy with everything else I was already doing. So it basically became a studio project.
Yeah.
We never gigged with it. The cool thing is that Terry remains one of my closest friends, and he plays all the keys and sings backups on the Fozzy records.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
so all
excellent.
the keyboards that you hear, that's Terry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So basically, Terry is the de facto sixth member in Fozzy.
Excellent.
Yeah, he's a really important part of the Fozzy studio team. He's
cool.
a great. All the big backing harmonies you hear on SOS and those things. He's in there because he has this crazy high voice. It's amazing, and you can hear there's some female vocals on this record too.
Yes,
and so we had two women, Shirley Fisher and I tell you, Christy Cook, who sang on Unstoppable.
Yeah,
one of the best vocalists of any chick singer I've ever heard. So we got a lot of talented people that work with us, but that's basically the story with Walking with Kings, was that I was the producer, and I liked it so much I asked if I could be in the band. So that's how that worked out.
Cool. He also asked, who is the female guest vocalist on the tracks It's a Lie?
Yeah, that's Allison Irby.
Irby.
We only worked with her on that song.
Okay.
On every album, we've had different female vocalists.
Okay.
A lot of times it's just finding you start asking around in the scene of people who because there's a lot of for hire in Atlanta, because there's a big hip hop and R&B music scene in Atlanta. So you can get chick singers that can kind of do soul music.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
So then, whenever we have a part that I think is appropriate for that style of singer, I'll start asking around. Who do you know? Who do you know?
Yeah.
And then, a lot of times you start getting the same names from people. And that's how we met Allison, was just through the grapevine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Last one. This is Kit from the UK as well. She went to a bunch of the Stuck Mojo shows in the UK when you did the comeback tour.
Yep.
And they were wondering, she was wondering, sorry, how did it feel to be welcomed back after so long? And were there any, were you expecting such a warm welcome from the UK?
No, that was amazing. Stuck Mojo is a very important band to me, in the same way that Fozzy is important to me for a different reason. It's nice to be able to have different voices.
Yeah.
Because I guess just like Mike Patton wants to do Mr. Bungle, and he wants to do Tomahawk, he has these. Just like Devin Townsend, there's parts of him that would love to play the most aggressive music ever, and there's parts of him that want to be super melodic. And it's hard to make one band successfully do all those things at the same time, and maybe it shouldn't be done that way. And that's why it's nice to have different voices for different crazy voices in my head.
Yeah.
And it was nice after a long break. And as a matter of fact, the crazy thing is for the first time in 16 years, we're doing a reunion in Atlanta the day after Christmas for Stuck Mojo with the original guys.
Oh, wow.
All 4 original guys from the mid-'90s kind of rising classic lineup.
Yeah.
So that's super exciting. So we hadn't been in a room together in 16 years. So on our first meeting together, I didn't know we were going to hug or get punched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it didn't end perfectly. It wasn't terrible, but it was also, there was enough kind of tension that you just never know. So in the UK, for me, my father's English, so even before I was in a band, I was going to England once or twice a year to visit my family and stuff. So it's been kind of, I was christened at Stoke Poges, and and my grandfather was a famous golf pro in England, and so for me, I have a lot of heritage. So the UK and England in particular is special for me, because, like I said, that's where my family roots are. Yeah, and so to have success there musically, not just in Fozzy, but also with Stuck Mojo, was pretty awesome.
Excellent. So apart from the one reunion you just said, is there any plans to tour that reunion, or is it just that one-off show?
We don't know. We're going to see how it goes.
Okay.
I think it's going to be one of the best shows in the history of best shows. And if it does, we'll do more. Excellent. And if it turns out that it was a lot of fun, but we've grown up and the chemistry's not there anymore, then we'll shake hands and say, thanks for a good night.
Cool.
But you just never know, because to me, it's not about money. It's about, are we the best band in the world at that moment? Yeah. And we'll know. Yeah. All of us will look at each other after the show's over. Yeah. We'll know after the first song. Yeah. Is the chemistry there? Is the electricity there? And can we still do it? Yeah.
That sounds really
It's good. The same thing that a guy like Paul Scholes or Ryan Giggs or anybody has to ask themselves. Yeah. Can we still do this? Am I still effective? And there are some guys, and I say that as an individual athlete, but a band also has to take the same approach. Yeah. Are we still effective as a group? Yeah. Or have we grown apart, and should we just do music with other people? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you for taking the time with me.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for taking the time with me as well. I know you guys are busy and you've got a show and everything, but yeah, no, thank you very much.
Thanks, brother. Cool.
Thank you. Peace. So, yeah, Rich Ward, Fozzy, Stuck Mojo, Adrenaline Mob. Oh man, that was awesome. Getting to interview him live as well. It was my first face-to-face interview in probably, since the late 90s when I used to run a fanzine. So yeah, having that out on the road and actually being able to record it is awesome. It's opened up a lot more opportunities for me. Coming up in the new year, because I think this is going to be it until the new year now, I've got Collisions, I've got Seething Akira, I've got Cypher 16, and I've got RSJ, This Burning Age, and a few more that I'm waiting for 100% confirmation on. But yeah, RSJ, Collision, Seething Akira, and Cypher 16 are all touring together next year as well. If you want to find out the dates, you can go to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/DJForceX. And they're in my cover photo. They're playing a complete UK tour. It's going to be an absolutely awesome show, so please find your local one and go to it. Anyway, I'll have them in for interviews anyway as well in the new year, but I've also got some very special guests coming up as well, which I'm waiting for confirmation on. I can't quite announce them just yet, but when I get them, I will. So keep an eye on djforcex.com, sign up for my mailing list, or subscribe, follow my Facebook page, or follow me on Twitter. I'm on most of these places. You just find me. It's always DJ Force X. So yeah, so have a happy Christmas. Have a fantastic new year. If you've had a shitty year, I hope the next one is a good one for you. So yeah, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Just keep pushing for it, and we'll see you on the other side. Have a great one. Stay safe. So until then, this is DJ Force X out.